Roland, let me greet you once again and say that...
Good morning, Solo.
There is a saying that just give time some time and people confront reality.
I thought that was for Dennis Miracle.
Yeah, no, they now coming to reality. My brother Zato sitting here, ranting comfortably, saying that. That's what he has been saying, that we must be checking lifestyle audit. People expend money that hitherto we are not concerned. But here is the same person that last year, when I petitioned the OSP to investigate the former vice president, who happens to be their flag bearer, on the statement that he single-handedly procured 300 vehicles. And I said that the focus was not on the vice president, but his ability to prove that indeed we know the salary of a vice president, and we know how much it costs to procure 300 vehicles.
Oh, sorry.
Whether or not these... The amount that he was receiving will be able to support. He took me to the cleaners. He took me to the cleaners.
That was your...
My goodness.
Like from a temple. You said they should look at this. They shouldn't look at this person.
So you see,
he says that what is good for the goose.
They should investigate all the political parties.
But what prevents you from petitioning?
No. Why should we always?
Allah had not gone anywhere to say that he single-handedly procured 300 brand new vehicles.
You were driving
your candidate said he single-handedly procured 300 vehicles. And I was saying at that time that we needed to use him as a point of reference to handle people that were living above their means.
What is your point, sir?
So the point here really is that, yes, I agree with him that we must care about people's status in society and how much they expend. I mean, you cannot tell me that we don't know your factories, we don't know your business, yet you'll be riding big cars in this country and nobody questions it. And that is what I sought to do. And so if today he has come back to agree with me, hallelujah, let's move on. And then we from today to go, we remain principled and consistent. Again, I disagree with the statement that we are not going after politically exposed persons. You can't take the politically exposed out of this equation.
To me, there's a scenario.
No. In fact,
that is also put together and then also observed by lawyer Usu here.
In fact, this audit,
Mining Act.
Oh yes,
two individuals.
No, that one.
And here we are.
No, I agree.
All going for the directors of the company.
No, but I agree. But the point is that in relation to this audit, in fact, the first person that must be hauled before any investigative body must be the former Foreign Affairs Minister, Sharia Yoko.
Why?
Then after that, you go after Hajia Halima.
Why?
Because they were all in the know.
In the audit?
They were all in the know. The audit findings captured their thoughts. In fact, you made reference to Sharia Yoko that when she went there, she asked them to stop. As a minister, so it is not in doubt that the minister knew of the happiness. What was her action? What did she cause to be done? She did nothing. And it's not for nothing that the auditors identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 key actors in this. They identified Fred Kwatin, who now seems to be the star of the show. They identified Janet Kurantin, who happens to be the treasurer or the finance officer at the embassy. They identified Jennifer Apalu, who happens to be the head of chancery. And then Hamidu Muhammad Karande and Her Excellency Hajia Halima.
So it lends credence to the argument.
So what I'm saying is
servants are those that are
but who are those
perpetrating?
Who is managing them? Who is the head of the mission there? Is it not Hajia Halima? Was she in the know? Was she in the know? She knew about it. Let me tell you, nobody can convince me that this whole booty was only taken by Fred Kwatin.
Why?
It was collusive. They colluded to dupe the state. Because, I mean, if you look at the audit report, the correspondence between Jivaki, that is the relationship manager of Citibank.
Citibank, yeah.
The corresponding emails. She kept on reminding General Krantin to the extent that Madame Krantin confessed that the company called Stefan belonged to Fred Kwatin. So conflict of interest immediately arises. And the audit also exposes that the Stefan LLC does not even exist. You know, the company was cloned. Instead of Stefan, S-T-E-F-R-A-N, they made it S-T-E-F-R-A-N-N to confuse them. So the city relationship manager broke the news that, look, we have checked online and there is no company called, what do you call it, Saffron. And so why are you paying the company? So they did the work for us, and that is why we have to pay. Then the relationship manager asked General Kweku whether they had any certificate from the state secretary. Because if you want to do any renovation in terms of residence, you need that permit. What is it? Then it became a matter. They went back and cooked another story. To justify why they had to pay, what do you call it, Mr. Kweku. So it was something that they colluded and then made the money and they shared it. And so for me, it is the head of the ambassador together with the group that decided to make money off the country. And so if you want to search out there, or if you want to prosecute all of them, from the foreign affairs minister to all those that have been made, they have to be prosecuted. Anything short of that, you are only playing to the gallery. You get my point.
Now to the point that they have clone websites.
Yes,
they share the money at the end of each month.
No, my own brother too, he didn't take much. Kofi Toto, he took only 800. You know, if you look at the league table, Kofi so was the least.
The monthly stipend.
Was it because Kofi was short?
He's not here. He's not here.
Kofi is not here.
So
no, that is what the audit is saying.
And the circumstances under which Kofi Tonto was paid that money, he will not make him.
That's why I was very surprised they kept Kofi's name.
From the process of that nature that he was being paid. He had given birth, and
he's not here, to be fair.
No, he's not here, but we are discussing the audit.
Yes, it's captured in the audit, but he's not here.
No, you are not understanding the point. I'm only trying to let you understand that how they accuse.
Kofi, you had a friendly chat on one.
Kofi is my brother.
Okay.
I am only saying that if you.
So you're only reading from the report.
The report. I have not accused Kofi. I can't accuse him.
Well, there's a screenshot.
But
of the
a litany of names that were mentioned.
No,
what have you selected?
What I'm saying.
That Kofi has been searching.
Kofi has been searching. He has a balance to take.
The relevance of he being.
If people are taking 3,000, go and give my brother Kofi 800. Why do you think I will not fight for him?
No, it's okay. It's not fair. It's okay.
So
because he was a staff of the embassy. Okay.
So what I'm saying is that it is not true that the embassy was not in the known. They did this business together, and then because they were in the know, look, at a point in time, Madam General Kweku actually wrote to the Citibank inquiring whether there was any dormant account, so that they could.
Kofi.
No, Madam General Kweku, who was the chief financial officer, wrote to Citibank inquiring whether the mission had any dormant account. I think they wanted to operate their activities through that bank account. Then she was told that no, none existed. Then she goes back and tells them that now if none existed, then we are opening a fresh account where we will be channeling all these mailing fees through it. So it is not in doubt that the embassy was aware that they were doing this business, and that when Ghana travel consultants makes their money, it goes to them and they also share. I believe that beyond prosecuting them and also retrieving our money, what has to happen is that they have shown us the way to mobilize more money for our embassies. With this 19 million, what will make any ambassador or any official that come back to our country and come and tell us that you don't have money there, so we should give you money. Now they have established to us that the embassy has whatever it takes to generate more than enough to take care of themselves and even reimburse some into a consolidated fund for us to develop this country with. And so we don't want to hear anybody come and tell us that our embassies do not have money. Now we go to this issue of he brought in the Goldman Sachs, a bit of it. Let me say that we cannot be here praising Goldman Sachs and the U.S. government relation to our brother Beku. If the United States of America believes that we must take them and see them as holier than thou, then Goldman Sachs, together with the Turkish energy company, benefited from this transaction. They must calculate all the windfall that accrued to them and send it back to the people of this country.
By way of the 16% share.
Exactly. So that we will know that they mean business. You cannot just go and imprison somebody and then still keep our money. Who does that? So please.
But the point of his contribution is the fact that to the point that they are able to enforce their own internal regulations and compliance regulations to flag and then subsequently report to federal authorities for prosecution of those individuals. Give us a head start.
It doesn't give us a look.
In Ghana, no company or ministry department will do that.
No, they do. I mean, and here again, the banks in this country.
The foreign transactions.
No, they report a lot. They report. It's the reason why FIC is able to apprehend a lot of people. In fact, it's the commonest thing in the banking sector.
Well, even as individual, when you deposit, that's usually,
exactly.
Let's say you do 1,000, and the next time you are doing 10,000.
Because the point is that when you are opening a bank, you take a box, expected inflows. So when it goes outside that expected inflows, then it raises red flag.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that to the extent that even with the Citibank, the mere fact that the relationship manager reported, they were still keeping our money. You understand? The proceeds from the crime, they were still keeping it and doing business with it. Because for them, it is the business that matters. So same way with Goldman Sachs. They reported, yet the money is still with them. They have not reimbursed the country. So all in all, it tells you how endemic corruption is to our system. And it also tells you that the decision that the foreign affairs minister took last year, that our brothers from the NPP criticized, it was the right decision. You know, he closed out the embassy. When you close it, people say, no, you should allow it to go whilst we do investigation. Some of these heinous crimes, you close it.
Heinous.
More than. You close it and deal with a specific issue, and then you continue. Now, sanity has come there, and we will move on.
Okay. Now, Jerome, let's deal with the subject matter of the.
Roland, I wanted to make a quick.
Okay, you want to, because I want
the issue of this.
I want us to go to.
Yeah, a quick one, just a quick one.
Because Jerome has a lot of.
I think on this table we have agreed that we should look at the institutions and the
all
civil
the
and public servants that.
What are you going to say about Kofi
within the institution?
Please allow him.
This scandal, per the audit report that has come out, started from 2017 all the way to 2025. Kofi Tonto only went to the embassy in 2020 or sometime in 2021. What I'm saying to you is that at the time Kofi Tonto,
nobody has said anything about Kofi
Tonto. Because you mentioned his name specifically. Because there were a litany of names that were stated in the audit report. You refused to mention any of those
were
names.
there litany of names?
A lot of names.
You don't like
the lady that opened the bank account was there.
Jory and
why didn't you mention those names?
I have mentioned General Kwante's name more than 10 on this set. You were not listening.
When Solo, if you do this, the concentration always remains on the politician, and these people.
No, but I have mentioned General Kwante's name more than 20 times on this set.
We are advising against.
You see, he's saying that.
Roland, let's make progress.
No, you didn't make progress. Let me clarify.
But he needs to take a balance of what?
No, he needs to take a balance of 2,200 because it's 3,000. But what I'm saying is that everybody is mentioning Kofi Tonto's name. That is the baggage you carry.
Because he didn't give you.
That's the point.
Please put their mics off. Kofi Tonto is a regular right here on the show, please. And then, according to the words of Solo, he's also his brother. Okay. At the end of the day, this is an audit finding, and we have to put it that in that space. And so, the question then is: will this be the clearest example of create, loot, and share? All apologies to a retired Supreme Court judge. That's. Mr. Say sending me this. Mr. Say, thank you for sending me this. Quite reminds me of it. But Kofi Tonto has officially issued a statement.
I know him,
and I knew that you mentioned his name.
Yes.
So lawyer also says that refrain from mentioning his name.
What does Kofi say?
So Kofi says, and it's in response to the fraudulent scheme at Ghana's embassy, Washington, USA, underlined, bold. And he says that he's become aware of a story published online in which it is alleged that he received an amount of $800 out of a colossal amount of $19 million, allegedly obtained from a fraudulent scheme at Ghana's embassy in the USA. And then he goes on to mention the story. But this is where he clarifies and the state is positioned. I wish to state that I have never been involved in any scheme, the sharing of or the receipt of any ill-obtained funds. It is instructive to note that in the said audit report, I have not been named as a person of interest for investigation. Then he goes on. The amount of $800 which I received in July 2021 was money which was lawfully paid to me as a child benefit package for the birth of my daughter, which occurred in January 2021. To the best of my knowledge, and the mine again is Kofi Tonto. So to the best of Kofi Tonto's knowledge and recollection, the payment of his child benefit package is a standard practice that preceded him, as one will find in the same report that about 28 other staff members of the Ghana Embassy at the time also received benefit for various life-changing reasons. Therefore, a one-time payment of $800 for a child benefit, which I did not solicit for, nor determine the amount, nor determine the payment bank account, and could not have known the source of that funding or the source of the money paid, cannot be used as a basis to falsely implicate me as complicit in the alleged fraudulent scheme. And he wished to state that all payments such as compensation, allowances, benefits, and refunds that he received during his tenure as head of information and public affairs at the Ghana Embassy between March 2019 and July 2021 were received bona fide by me as a worker, which payments were made in accordance. So he worked there from 2019 to 2021.
So contrary to, I mean, is it not beautiful? This is what I was expecting Kofi to say. That indeed he took the 800, but the 800 was for a lawful reason.
Okay.
If you give birth, you get 800.
That is it. So if you go and work, then you must.
It's a general. Then I'll give you
what to do, man.
Okay,
so if you have 50,
you just
50 kids, 50 times 800.
Now you give me some.
There's been concerns that
working at the wrong places
by the argument really falls in your line of argument. You've had when it comes to the subject of corruption and then pursuing politically exposed persons. When you know that the individuals who tend to occupy the general architecture of public service really are the vehicles for which we have the country losing money, Dr. Zato.
Okay, I'm happy you know my position on that.
Yeah.
Because somebody I was going to say that I'm being hypocritical on that, but that is my position. That look, right now, and so you can just say just this week, we've had two main stories coming from Ghana's transactions outside our shores. One involving public servants leaving our shores to go and do businesses or business coming to Ghana. And that one involving Ghanaians in foreign lands doing the shores. But by the way, if you have lived outside Ghana for a long time, and if you had to deal with any embassy or high commission, you will realize that some of these things they are saying is no news. You will realize, look, I lived in Ottawa for about 10 years, in Canada. I lived in Dubai for about 5 years. Look, and sometimes when you see some of these things happening, some of these analysis, like the ordinary Ghanaians who are there, nobody will say, oh, I'm shocked, I'm surprised that there are people sitting in the embassies cooking these things and doing these things. Nobody will tell you they are surprised. That's what ordinary Ghanaians feel. But to the two major agencies have told us something that our own governments, our own public servants have never told us. One is the financial organization Citibank in the United States.
Yes.
The other one is what's the name of this bank that was involved in the AXA case?
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. Two banks stood up and defended this government, defended this country.
Goldman Sachs is almost like a finance.
Yes. Yes. So for the purposes of this discussion, I'm referring to them as banks. They stood up and they defended the Black Star. They stood up and they defended Ghanaians. They stood up and they flagged operations that they thought or that they suspected were what? Illegal and illicit, and that were draining Ghanaians. I don't know the last time a Ghanaian bank or any bank operating from Ghana flagged issues that they should know or that they ought to know are illegal and not. Look, I'm just reading the report here by Manasseh Zure. He's telling you how ordinary officials at Citibank were writing emails to the Ghana embassy telling them that these accounts you're opening, this you're doing, they look suspicious. calling them, following up with emails and saying, now look, what you are doing, and if you're reading the report, you begin to understand how come these people, a foreign bank that is supposed to just make money because they were making money from these transactions. Well, for once, and that's one of that's the capital of the whole wide world. And this, the men and women operating these banks, they were also making commissions. But here they are saying that despite the fact that we are making money, despite the fact that we have about $90 million here, they were raising questions of ethics and morality. When was the last time, again, you had a Ghanaian bank in dealing with any government agency raised questions of morality and ethics, flagged operations, and recorded, and see, they recorded them, they have them in the emails. Yeah. For me, why don't we have that? So that's what I'm saying. These financial institutions that in Ghana, if you look at almost all the acts or alleged acts of corruption that happen, they also involve banks in this country.
But to be truthful to the banks, when their receipts or their payments made into accounts, which are not regular, the payments that are made or deposits that are made into certain accounts, particularly for individuals or companies, they tend to flag them.
But well, I'm just saying that we have not seen most of the corruption cases that we got this or that they've tendered in a report or a result from banks that are saying this. That's one thing. Two, again, I made it here last week and I said this point. The political class in Ghana, politicians, the media in Ghana, civil society organizations in Ghana, all of us become hypocritical when the corruption involves civil servants or public servants. We sit down and we pretend with this Ghanaian old adage that everybody chops at his work side. So we don't care if you are a watchman here and we see that the income you have, what you are doing, is way above what we expect you to pay, even if we know your salary. We don't care. In the same way, we don't care if we know that you are an MP, but whatever you are earning and enjoying is more than your salary as an MP. We don't scrutinize that. We don't, because again, the idea is that we hope it doesn't bring us any political benefits. And this week we've shown that. In the AXA case, names have been mentioned. Some of this, what I'm saying is that names have been mentioned in the AXA case. That look, these are the men and women who receive money. Some of them are selling their positions, enjoying benefit. In this case, in this audit report, names have been mentioned. And I'm sure almost all these names are sold with the Foreign Service. So far, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has been numb about this. I don't know, have they issued a statement?
No.
Have they
commissioned the audit?
Yes, the audit has come. The findings
have come. Special audit.
Yes, so far they've not issued any statement. So far we are not sitting here, they've not told us that after this audit, what then? Because mostly it is not the findings. And again, that is the politics of this. It is not the findings, it's not the audit. You can have all of them. But it's the actions. Now the lobbying has begun. Now the political people are now cashing in political favors. Because how long should it take? Because you've come with this, well, at least in the meantime, we should have heard from them saying that, look, these men and women who have been mentioned, one, either they've been called back home, or at least they are on some kind of administrative or whatever suspension, whilst we are taking the bigger decision. No.
You are saying by this time the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should be coming out with that public.
At least statement. We need to know, because if you commission this, we need to know. And something happened. They said the minister, Kojo went there, and when this thing came, he ordered the thing to be stopped. It's in 2021. But then it was open again, or they found another loophole.
Yeah. So this is what happened. They also said that they had private websites which mimicked the site names of the Ghana embassy for payment. So the audit specifically identified GhanaPV.org and TravelGhana.net. And according to the report, the GhanaPV.org used the Ghana coat of arms, the name Embassy of Ghana, and official contact information, creating the appearance of an official government platform. Then applicants were redirected there to pay mailing and application support fees. And then subsequently, there were staff at the Ghana embassy at the time who were giving monies. Each month they'll collect. There's even a screenshot already in the audit report indicating even names that we're all familiar with, who were supposed to be recipients of these stipends or money, if it's great loot and share in those small amounts, but amounting to 90 million, so to speak. And Lawyer also posited right and pay off.
Yes, no. Yeah. So the point I'm saying is, you see, this type of loot, was not part of the oral estimates. It wasn't part of it. They didn't get it, and that is also the problem I talked about. The oral was focused on politically exposed corruption. Now, I want us to see that, to see the other canker in our society. Look, imagine you're a minister, you come to place. There's no way you can even know or monitor these things. And so then let's be honest with them. Look, I know it's difficult in this country for us to try to hold, to try to make, I don't want to say justifications, but try to hold brief for politicians, right? But you can understand the extent to which these people have gone to. How deeply seated it is to make sure that the minister would not know, to make sure that they cover up. My point is, so far, there is, and I can tell you, you watch and see what is going to happen. One, the unions of these organizations are going to rise up and defend and protect these people. That's the first thing that is going to happen. Two, it's possible then that these people can then threaten. Remember the last I was telling you, the reason why public servants, ministers follow public servants to the Public Accounts Committee, you remember that. This is where it's now come. Because they will now, you have information on me, I have information on you. And that becomes is blackmail. So now you're also a minister, or you're saying, like, hey, wait, if I come hard on these people, what about me will they also expose? So before you realize, it becomes a kind of a compromise between these two people. And then it's the ordinary Ghanaian that sacrifice. If this was a minister, if this report has said that the minister either said or knew more about it, had this, and today, you would have seen the course.
You think the approach would have been different?
No, it is. You know that, I know that, we all know that. If it was a big politically exposed person, an MP or a government appointee, by now, in fact, the whole thing would have become different. But because of this, it will be addressed in the back room with handshakes. If you are maybe sorry with some sorries, with some hand waving, and then we move on to the next scandal. Welcome to Ghana.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.